Paul, this is very good to look at because this is Honda. Of course, everyone knows Honda because Paul has a motor in the back of his Honda.
Don't you have a Honda?
I do have a Honda. Yeah, and I'm probably I may get a new one as we're kind of outgrowing it, Paul.
Are you?
Yeah, the two kids are getting big.
Your income's going up. So.
They have friends. We have
Tesla X.
So, we'll see. Honda, of course, is a multinational manufacturer of automobiles, motorcycles, power equipment. Their headquarters is in Japan, of course. However, Marysville, Ohio has an enormous Honda dealership. It affects a lot of the Ohioans. And so I'm a huge fan of Honda. I've owned 3 or 4 of them. And I'm happy the reason I'm excited about this, Paul, is, people say we when people like to cherry pick, they say that we compare Tesla to a boring company like Ford. And guess what? We're also, Trapper wants to look at Ford later on in the show right now. So we'll get to that as well. We can show you what top of the line, top long-term car companies are actually doing when you're thinking about your Tesla projections, Paul. So why don't we get after it with Honda?
Honda, $54 billion market cap, PE of 14, that's a check mark. But like most car companies, the bottom line profit's pretty low, 3%, that's an X. Gross margin, 20%. Dividends, 2.4%. $1.3 billion. So when we look at their free cash flow, we want to make sure that their free cash flow is amply above $1.3 billion so they can afford that dividend consistently. Revenue growth, 128 to 120. That's an X, Uncle Seth. But last year was a fluke year. If you see their other revenue going up, last year was a bad year for car sales. What are you laughing about, most of you?
Nick Peppers wrote, Honda doesn't have a 100 PE, off my radar.
Exactly.
Wow, Paul, I have to stop you. Bearded gave $10 to the Innocence Project, one of our patrons who's been slaying it in terms of trading in the bid and ask. And I have to thank Super Dave for a $50 donation.
Wow.
Incredible, guys.
And I will say this. I will give back a little bit. Anybody who just gives money for the donation, I will cover the YouTube fee. Because whenever you give money, we only get 30% of it, 70% of it, and then we donate that 70% to the charity. If you're just giving it, I will cover that 30% fee. So Seth, make sure you mark down the $50 will be a full 50, all that stuff, because I'd rather have you guys, I want them to get all the money for it, not just part of it. And by the way, Innocence Project reached out to me yesterday asking for a phone call just to talk because I'm a regular donator.
Wow.
I emailed them back yesterday. They didn't respond. I emailed them today and said, just to let you know, I am promoting you guys on the show, and so hopefully it helps out.
Yeah, I mean, we have other people who've already just given. In fact, we might have to go through and figure it out, but we definitely have some people who've given just for the cause. So,
great.
Paul, let's keep going. We're on pillar number 3, which is revenue growth for Honda.
We already said X to that one.
I'm sorry. The revenue growth is down. My apologies.
Profit is down as well, 3.93 to 3.81. Guys, there's a lot of X's here, but again, last year was a bad year for the car business. I wouldn't punish them for that. This is a good example. I'm glad whoever requested Honda did this because this is a good example of looking outside the numbers.
If you're out there, Board Panda. Board Panda is a new patron, Paul. He's been I've seen you around. He's very excited about being a follower of the show.
$20.
$20. Thank you so much for your guys' help. And Paul, I would say, I totally lost my train of thought.
We're trying to get to 600 people watching live.
Yeah, that's where I was going with this. Thank you, Paul. Folks, if you're out there and you have some friends who might want to see this show, there's a share button right next to thumbs up, and just go ahead and text this to somebody. I do this sometimes. People say, what show are you on? What are you doing? Just share this show with somebody. Maybe they'll learn something. So keep going, Paul. I interrupted you for Honda. I don't even...
Number of shares outstanding,
yep.
1.8 billion down to 1.73. So that is a check there. They are buying their shares back. Now let's go to the balance sheet.
Current assets over current liabilities, Paul.
67.6 versus 52.6. Check mark there.
Okay, keep going.
And then free cash flow. 1.67 to 5.67, check mark there, with an average of 3.2. 3.2 times 20 equals 64 billion. That is a check mark because they're at 50-some billion. So
54 billion is the exact market cap right now.
The question is, would I pay that for this company?
So what? Let me just pump the brakes a smidge, Paul, because this doesn't happen that often. Is where our 20x calculation for times free cash flow gets us over the actual market cap. And in this case, we are over fairly significantly. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on Honda.
So for Honda, guys, it's not a fast-growing company. It's already a big manufacturer of automobiles. I don't think you pay 20 times free cash flow for it. I think with their low margins and the issues in the auto industry, I think you have to be very patient. You guys are going to hate to hear this, but I think you're going to want to buy Honda for $30 to $35 billion market cap, which is easily a 30% drop from here. Sounds fun. Sounds awful. They have a very low return on invested capital. So look at the 8 pillars here. Very, very low return on invested capital, 3.4%. I'm not worried about this, or this. In fact, I would almost consider Honda only a 1X company because the revenue growth and net income growth, I think, was a fluke year last year. But the profit margin is the only thing. I just think auto industry in general is a very tough industry, but Honda and Toyota do it awesome. I don't know anybody who has a Honda and Toyota who doesn't like them and doesn't love them. I've never even heard anybody say anything bad. Like sometimes you hear people say, I love Ford, and then other people say, I hate them. Never heard anybody say, I hate Honda or I hate Toyota. They just do it really well. So if you're gonna buy an auto industry company and you're forcing yourself to buy it, I think you'll be fine buying Honda. But just wait for a little bit. Maybe sell some puts on it, which is to give yourself the right to buy them at lower prices. I feel like the global car market has really blown up a lot, gone very, very well, and I don't think that's sustainable for the long run.
Mo, what's going on with Honda in terms of trading this puppy? I'm excited to see this, baby. You know,
kind of the same story as last time. I mean, this is drawn out to November of last year. Draw that straight line across, and it just can't break through that resistance.
Why is that? I don't understand.
Like Paul said, I mean, there's no excitement going on here. Something really needs to happen that really propels them through. I mean, I think you're going to see this with a lot of these bigger companies that are kind of boring, and you see it with AT&T. You see it with, you know what I'm saying?
This is typically your argument against Tesla and these enormous projections, because when it gets to this state of being this enormous company, it can't do that absurd growth that everyone's predicting. It's just going to kind of meander around, right?
It's just going to, I mean, you could see going back to October of last year, it was at $23. So, I mean, you could see it's just going to move up and down. And frankly, it's just been moving between like a little over $25 to $30 and just been coasting back and forth. So again, 10,000 stocks out there to trade. I would not choose this one. Definitely for day trading. I mean, you don't have any movement on this thing. So, and one more thing. If you look at this, there's a lot of gaps. It gaps up all these little areas up and down and up and down. So something happens overnight with them very often, more often than other companies when it's just a big gap because of earnings or whatever. To me, the volatility on a day-to-day basis with something like this, I don't know.
Call me stupid. Does this have to do with this Japanese headquartered company? Maybe something's happening while we're asleep over there. And
very possible. I mean, I do look at a lot of the foreign charts and they look like this. I don't know if that's a common theme over there. Haven't looked into it.
Oh, yeah, you're okay. I mean, interesting.
Just going back to like Adidas looks like that, and whatever other ones all
right, what's the next one, Seth?
Let's look up Ford, guys.
Fix or repair daily.
That's right.
Have you ever heard that one?
Yeah, I have.
Found on the road dead.
Oh, I never heard that one though.
What is the market cap for Ford?
$46.5 billion, PE of 11.7. Just like Honda, low profit margin of 3%. So check in an X. It's showing no dividends being paid anymore. Very crappy return on invested capital, just like Honda. Income statement. Again, guys, 153 to 129. That's an X. Yeah, I mean, that's just expected last year. I mean, cars are booming now, guys. Now there's car shortages. It's insane out there. Profit, 3.73 to 3.98. Check mark there. Nice work.
Number 5. We want this going down.
3.98 to 3.98. So that's technically a check. The software will hopefully say it's a check because it's supposed to, because it's the same.
Pillar number 6 is current assets over current liabilities, Paul, for Ford.
114 billion versus 94 billion. Check mark there.
Pillar number 7, damn it, Paul, is free cash flow growth. You know what that is.
24.06 to 23.9. That's an X. And an average, oh my God, look at this free cash flow all over the place. An average of 12 billion. Oh boy, do I even believe this? So here's the deal, guys. The average free cash flow is 12 billion. They're at 46 billion. Market cap divided by 12 is 3.8 times free cash flow over the last 5 years. That's a check mark. All right, so we have a check mark on the price of free cash flow, not on the growth. Ford, guys, I hate to say this, I don't like the American car business. I just don't like the unions. I know you're gonna hate me for that, I get it. But I used to work in Toledo at a Jeep dealership in finance, and I remember janitors were making $120,000 a year.
Regardless of salary.
No, it matters because.
Well, you bring that up, but regardless of salary, you say that, and a lot of people say, well, I know janitors make that much. Like I grew up pro union. My mom was in one, so I was told that was what I was supposed to do. But then when I enter the workforce, and I have peers entering the workforce, a friend of ours that you met at a party of mine, he'll be at a big plant, and if something breaks, they got to call some union guy on the phone. He's got to drive in 40
and that's the issue
to turn a wrench. I understand there are rules in this world, but when it gets to be like bonkers.
And I think that's hindering the car business from making more money and returning more to investors. I get it. It's all, people want to pay, we want to pay a great fair wage, but I think we'd all agree that mopping a floor for $120,000 a year in 2003 is probably a little excessive in terms of pay. I just have a hard time with these things as it's going, especially with a 3% profit margin. I liked Ford. Do you believe this free cash flow? They had $24 billion in free cash. The free cash flow number is insane. Even on their worst year of free cash flow in the last 5 years, you're at $5.8 billion. It's still less than 9 times free cash flow. It's like 8 times free cash flow.
Mo, did we even talk about Ford? Where the hell am I in this show? I love you. These comments.
You guys are busy giggling like little schoolgirls over there.
Listen, these people are just freaking hilarious. So go ahead. Oh, Dante.
So with Ford, this is actually something that is on my watch list in the Bid and Ask Nation, and I'm not going to tell you why, because you don't know why unless you have me. So this is a pitch for the Bid and Ask Nation. But this trend is terrible. They can definitely fall. They're sitting at their 100-day moving average right now. That's all you need to know. But there's a lot of room to fall down here. And if you are in the Bid and Ask Nation, you know why. And if you don't know why, join it, and I will help you. But Ford is something that is on my list. I think I'm going to make a lot of money on Ford going into the future.
Thanks so much for watching the video. We hope you were intrigued. If this style of investing speaks to you, click the link below to join our Patreon. As a patron, you get access to a wonderful community of like-minded investors where you can chat, connect, ask questions, and share ideas with badasses like you all over the world. The best part is you get the amazing Everything Money software. This is revolutionary, unlike any YouTube page. You can track your investments, look at stocks, and quickly run our 8-pillar analysis on any company you like. The top tier patrons get direct access to Paul and Trader Mo. You'll see their daily trades, their updated portfolios, and every options contract they write on a daily basis. We provide Patreon exclusive videos just for you, including live streams and exclusive content from our team. Our bottom patron tiers fill fast, so join today. But hey, if you don't believe me, look at all of our patrons' amazing success stories. In comparison to other financial platforms, our software is by far the best value. This is your chance to get serious about investing. If you're finally ready to level up your investing game, join our Patreon and let's start kicking ass together.